Your husband can drive some car.
All right. We're gonna start.
We're celebrating yourself driving themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
No offense.
Poor Larry. He's like,
We can get Larry and Joe's point of view too. He's just as happy as I am.
let's sit comfortably. So, if you're on the floor and you want to sit up on blankets, do it. Same thing in your chair. And if you are in your chair, just, be mindful of getting your feet lined up, hips distance apart, and get your feet facing forward so they're parallel. And if you're on the floor, you can stretch legs out long. You can sit on a blanket or two, or you can be cross-legged if that's comfortable on the floor. But just close your eyes and let yourself lengthen up through the top of your head. Feel your shoulders releasing down away from your ears. And then just accept your breath in and out through your nose. See if you can feel the breath coming into your belly, so the belly rises and expands a little bit as you inhale. And on your next exhale, allow your hands gently to come to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And we'll keep our hands together, but inhale them up through the midline. Only go as high as your shoulders feel good for you to go. And then when you exhale, you'll let the hands come right back down to be in front of your chest. So just letting your own breath bring your hands up and down, start to wake up the shoulders. Doesn't matter if your hands end up in front of your face, or up a little higher than your head, or maybe it feels good to come into even longer arms. So just letting the breath help you move here. And the next time the hands come back down in front of your chest, let them stay there. And now inhale, bring your hands over towards the right side of your chest a little bit. And when you exhale, bring them back across and over towards the left. So now you're just going side to side with your breath. Inhaling to one side and exhaling to the other. Good. And then the next time that you exhale, stop at center with your hands there at center again. And now just clasp your hands. Go ahead and interlace your fingers and squeeze your palms together gently so you feel your biceps engaging and you feel your shoulders a little bit too. But then start to turn your palms away from you. Press out into the heels of the hands. So now you're coming into your wrists as well. And you'll feel your fingers. Let yourself try not to round forward here in your upper back, but almost think about your chest coming a little forward, right? Good, and then let's release our arms straight on out from the shoulders and let your hands flex for a second. And then start to circle your hands around. So you're coming into a little more release for your wrists. And then we're gonna stop and reverse those circles. And then let your hands come on down, shake out a little bit. And we're gonna stretch our legs out long if you're not already on the floor. And remember which leg you had in front if you were cross-legged. And point and flex your feet a little bit here. Let yourself just move through your feet and your ankles. Good. And then we're gonna come on back with our feet down. If you were cross-legged and you wanna come back, make sure you come to the other leg in front. And now just move a little bit forward and back with your breath. So letting your exhales bring you forward, but your back stays long, and your inhales bring you back. So again, starting to enjoy that movement with your breath, but now you've got your whole torso involved. But you're keeping that back nice and flat. Exhaling your way forward and inhaling your way back up. Good. And then the next time you come back up, let yourself stay there and release your arms on out beside you. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, let's twist to our right. So bring in your left hand, maybe around all the way to your right knee. Maybe not, that depends on you. You can have your hand more at the midline, especially if you're on the floor. Lengthen up through the top of your head. One more inhale. And on your exhale, come on back around through center. We're going in the other direction, so swivel on around. Feel that waking up of the spine. Press gently down into whatever part of your feet are touching the floor, right? And that might be anything, the bottoms of your feet, the outside edges of your feet, your heels. One more inhale. And then bring yourself on back around again into center. And let's inhale our arms again all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse again. Inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. Good. And now shake anything out you need to. We're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. So if you know you don't want to be on your knees, do not be. Grab blankets for under knees. Let yourself be up on the seat of your chair if it feels better not to be on your knees at all. And remember, your hands are important too. So if your wrists bother you, you can hold the edge of the seat of your chair. You may come to fist, which takes that wrist crease out of your wrist there, or you can come down and be lower onto your forearms on blocks or on the chair or even on the floor, right? Because you can still find that movement through your spine. So as you look down between your hands, take a nice inhale. And then as you exhale, draw your tailbone up under you, rounding up into your cat pose. And on your next inhale, send your tailbone back, maybe up a little bit. You'll feel your belly drop down a bit. Now, whether you stay looking between your hands or look forward with your gaze is up to you. So finding that kind of flowing action through your spine. And of course, we can only do this because of the way our spines are built. So, you know, appreciate that you have muscles alongside of your spine that help keep it into alignment. You're warming those up. Imagine a healthy spine, right? All those little vertebrae, all the cushions between them. A lot that has to work out here to move through your back. And then finish off the one you're on. And we'll come to a more neutral spine. Let your gaze come down between your hands again. And let's step our left foot forward and our right foot back to come into lunge here. So, you know, how far you step that right foot back, totally up to you. You can be up higher with your hips. You don't have to be, you know, down low, and you don't have to be in a long lunge to get benefit in the back of your leg. That's that right leg. And be mindful of that front knee. Make sure you're not bending it out beyond your ankle. Good. One more breath. And we are going to switch legs. So however you like, whether you like to step forward or back. And again, as you come into that lunge, be mindful of your hands again. If your wrists bother you, you know, try again. You know, you can be on fists. You can go to your fingertips instead of being flat on your hands. You can hold the edge of the seat of the chair too. So again, just really feel that sense of opening up through the back of your left leg and line up that front knee. Good. We're going to switch again. So as the left foot comes forward, the right foot comes back. Sometimes it feels better to get a little longer the second time, but not necessary. Some of you I know like to bring your left hand or forearm up to your thigh. If you want to do that, you can. Or both hands, if you choose. And we are going to bring our hands down if they were up because we're going to switch again. So again, take time, get really into the lunge where you feel comfortable to be. And if you like to lift your right hand or forearm up, you can. You don't need to. Enjoy reaching into that inner left heel and finding all that length in the back of that leg. Good. And then we're gonna come on down with our hands and we're gonna step forward and get our feet hips distance apart and parallel right under us. Yes, you can use those mats and put yours right on top if you want. So take your time. As you come into your forward bend, you know you can have your hands up on blocks. You can, if you'd like, come down onto your forearms on your chair or put blocks up in your chair. In other words, if your back bothers you, really pay attention. Getting up higher to keep your back long is great because you're still going to benefit from this forward bend. So you don't want to put this sense of pain in your low back at all. So just be mindful, feel the weight of your head if you can, as long as it doesn't bother your back. See if you can let your head hang. Remember, your knees can be a little bent. And if you have straighter legs, just make sure you're not locking your knees out, right? You don't want to lock your knees at all. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. Let yourself come into following your breaths now, in and out. Full deep breaths. Good. So one more nice deep breath here. And then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips as we bend our knees and rise up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So coming into mountain pose. If you need to walk a little bit or adjust anything at all, do it. Sometimes just looking at your feet is helpful. And allow your hands when you're ready to meet softly there in front of your chest. And for a second, just let yourself feel your fingers. So let your pointer fingers separate a little bit. And you can either look at them or you can look forward and then let them come back together. And now let your middle fingers come apart a little bit. And then let them reconnect. And now go to your ring fingers, separating. And then let them softly meet again. And now your pinkies are going to separate a little bit. And then let them meet again. And now the thumbs, just a little bit. It's a little bit different, right, for your thumbs. And then releasing them back. And now see if you can just feel each finger and your thumbs, your palms gently coming together, but elbows softly melting down towards the ground. And then imagine you're rooted through your feet and that you're growing up out of those rooted feet. Your thighs gently lift up, but your tailbone is reaching down towards between your heels. So you don't want to tuck your tailbone under you. You feel a little engagement in your belly, and you're coming into your mountain pose where you are very strongly based through your feet, but then your head is up there floating in the clouds. And then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And as we exhale, we'll bend our knees, come forward into that standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find the flattest back you can find. So you're reaching back through your tailbone and out through the top of your head. And we are going to step our right foot back now to come into our lunge. So again, you can have your hands on the chair. You can have your hands on blocks. Remember, if you're using your blocks, have them on your mat underneath your shoulders so they're not way far out away from you. And that way you can have a little bit of weight there in your hands. And we're going to come on into downward facing dog pose. Whether your hands are up on the seat of a chair, on blocks, highest or middle or lowest, or even down to the floor. And let your elbows hug towards each other. Let yourself just find the length of your spine. And imagine that you're equally long through the sides of your body, right? So you're balanced and equal right and left sides. And on your next inhale, come on out towards a plank. Now you don't have to go fully into a push-up pose, but you might want to. And you're more than welcome to put your knees down or go down to your forearms. If you want to get out of your hands, go down to your forearms for a forearm plank do. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog. Now if you need to adjust your feet between your plank and your down dog and back again, then just adjust. And let your elbows softly hug towards each other so you feel that sense of your shoulders very much engaged. Even if you don't have much weight on your hands, right, because you're reaching back so far, you're still feeling your shoulders. And then we'll bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. And however you need to do that, if you need to put your left knee or both knees down before you come into the lunge, do. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend again. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Be mindful if you need support. Remember, putting your elbows above your knees can be a great way to support your low back, or being up on blocks on your chair. It's being up higher. So just enjoy. Feel how just coming forward like this helps the backs of the legs just to naturally open up. Let your face be soft. So imagine just relaxing all the muscles, all around your eyes, all around your mouth. And especially let your jaw go, right? If you separate your teeth a little bit, sometimes I even like to let my lips and my teeth separate a little bit. So one more nice full deep breath here. And then we'll bend our knees, bring our hands to our hips. We're going to rise straight up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And let's inhale the hands right on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings as you fold forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back again, as flat as you can find there. And we'll step our left foot back this time to come into lunge. And engage a little bit more. See if you can imagine you're trying to lengthen your mat with your feet. So you're pressing your feet away from each other, but feel how your belly engages with that. Zip up that low belly. And then we'll come on into a downward facing dog pose. So again, your down dog. Really, you do not want to feel discomfort in your shoulders. So the height of your hands can make a very big difference. So you can adjust and kind of play around. Remember, if your hands are on the floor, you can do full dog if you want, where you're like in an upside down V. Walk a little bit if you can, though. Bend one knee at a time. Let yourself release the backs of the legs a little bit more. And then we're going to come to full dog so that we can come on back towards that plank. Again, you don't have to do a full push-up plank pose here. You can do push-ups if you want to, if you're there. You can put your knees down or your forearms down. Feel your sitting bones reaching down towards your heels. Feel that engagement of your belly, your low back, and your hips. And then we'll come on back again into down dog. So reaching your way back equally through your sitting bones, elbows hugging towards each other. And we'll bring our left foot forward to find lunge. So again, how you get there, totally up to you. You can put knees down, you can come up and then back down into your lunge if you need to. Press your feet away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat. Feel your belly. And we'll step forward from here and come on into our standing forward bend. So again, be mindful and use the support you need. Make sure you're not putting stress into your back. And now find, if you can, little spaces between your breaths. So feel your inhale, feel that little space before you exhale. And then the same thing, at the end of your exhale, feel that little space, that little pause before you inhale. And feel the movement of the ribs as you breathe in and out. Our hands now come on back up to our hips, bend our knees, rising on up, and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And now unfold your arms, shake your hands out just a little bit. I'm going to turn around to be less confusing. You guys stay where you are. And we're going to tilt our head to the right. Let your right ear come towards your right shoulder for a second. And then inhale, come on back up to the top of the head and go the other way. So just let your head tilt a little bit. You might even feel this in your upper back. Feel the weight of this hanging arm. And then come on back up. We're going to go back to right ear towards the right shoulder, and we're going to let our left hand start to trail up by our ribs and in front of our shoulder by our ear. And we're going to reach into a long side stretch here. Turn your palm of your left hand down towards the ground. And be mindful, you know, you can let your head turn to look down if that releases your neck. If it bothers you, don't do it. One more breath. And then rising back up, we'll lower that arm all the way down. And now tilt left ear towards the left shoulder. And again, let that right hand just kind of go softly by your ribs in front of your shoulder. Your ear, go by your ear and stretch it long. Turn the palm down. Breathing into that right side. And then we'll rise on back up, and we're going to lower the arms on down. And let's inhale the arms now forward and up overhead into a wide V. So open your arms wider. Turn your pinkies towards each other. You can look up if you want. Mountain with arms overhead. One more inhale. And on the exhale, bend your knees and come on forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you lengthen out your spine. Nice flat back. And we're going to walk into down dog. So hands can be whatever height you like. Up on your chair, on your blocks any height, on the floor. And on your next inhale, come on out towards that plank again. Now you can stay in plank or you can add a back bend here. You can do push-up if you'd rather. So if you'd like to come down to the floor, you can do a sphinx, a cobra, or an up dog where you come through with your chest. And then we'll make our way back into down dog. Those are totally optional, those back bends. So take your time. Once you come forward again towards that plank, it's only you who knows whether you should be doing any kind of a back bend. So if you choose to do one, pick the one that feels good to you. And then we'll make our way again back into downward facing dog pose. Good. This time right foot is going to come forward. Again, how you get into that lunge doesn't matter. Just get yourself set there to find that lunge. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. And you know, I know a lot of you are just fine to release forward, even holding your own elbows, or some of you might want to put your hands on your calves so they're behind you, or even, you know, hold your elbows behind your legs. It is, a forward bend is just such a different feeling for every single person. So be very, very mindful and let yourself just feel your breath, feel the weight of your head, feel your face soft. One more full deep breath. And then we'll bend our knees and bring our hands up to our hips again. Rise straight up to standing. Press into your feet as you inhale your arms all the way out and up. And on your exhale, bring your hands right down together in front of your heart. So take your time. If you need to get yourself situated again by looking at your feet, do. So as you come into mountain pose, think a second about swaying a little bit front to back. Right? So you're kind of letting yourself go forward and back a little bit. Not much, not so much feel like you're going to fall over. So it's real tiny. And then stop back at center and do the same thing left to right. So you're just letting your body stay long, but you're just swaying. And now the fun part is making a circle of your swaying, right? So coming forward and to one side and back a little bit and to the other side. See if you can just circle and let the circles be really small. Obviously you're going to fall over, right? And then see if you can stop and go the other direction. And then see if you can just imagine those circles getting smaller and smaller and smaller so that they become so small that you're just stopped right there at the center, you know what I mean? It's just this place that you go, ah, there I am. Very balanced, right to left, front to back. Very even. Mountain pose is such a wonderful, supposedly easy pose because you want to feel kind of effortless in your mountain pose. So don't force it. Really, let it feel like you're just growing up out of your feet. It's a very peaceful but a strong pose too. We're gonna unfold our arms right on down beside us, shake out a little bit, move around if you'd like to. And from here, we are going to come into some warriors. So I'm gonna turn my chair around and make sure you have your blocks handy in case you need them. And if you need your chair, put your hand on it. We're gonna step our left foot forward and our right foot back and come into warrior two. So warrior two, that back right foot is about parallel to the back edge of your mat, or you can send your heel back farther if your foot and ankle do that. And then bend into that left knee and take a look at the knee and see if you can straighten it a little bit and then bend it again, but make sure that that knee is staying in this little pathway, right? It's going right out over the center of your foot. And when you come back, try to think of it staying centered when you straighten your leg out. Don't lock your knee or anything, but just, I mean, here you are. This strengthens your quad, but this also gets you mindful of like the alignment of your knee. So the next time you bend it, let it stay there. You can hold your chair if you need. And then we're gonna float our arms on up and out from our shoulders, letting the palms face down, reaching out through your fingertips. Feel the feet in the floor. Just enjoy finding that strength now. If you imagine you're pressing your feet a little bit away from each other, you might find a little more stability. You'll also feel your hips a lot more. And now let your right hand come down to your right hip. We're gonna straighten our left knee out. And now we're coming into triangle pose. Me, I like to stay up high. I like to use the chair. I like to have my hand either on the back of the chair or come down to the seat of the chair. And I'm extending my torso out over that front leg, or you can use your leg or a block. And if your right arm wants to come up, you can let it come straight up from your shoulder with your palm facing out, right? So your palm faces forward, and you can enjoy feeling those thighs lifting up. If your shoulder bothers you, just keep your right hand down on your hip. You don't have to use the arm at all. Very good extender of your spine. We're gonna bend the left knee, come on back into warrior two. Let your feet press away from each other. And then we'll let our hands come down, and we're gonna find a lunge. Now, for those of you who have a chair, you might wanna just turn to let your hands be up on the back of the chair, or come down to the seat of the chair, or of course, those of you who don't have one, using your blocks, or hands as low as you want to go. Adjust your lunge there to reach your heel directly behind your foot. And then we'll bring our left hand to our left hip. We're going to roll our shoulder up into a twist. Now this twist can be done hand down, trying to level out your hips here, or you can stretch your arm up if you want to. Same thing as in triangle. If it feels good to stretch up your arm, you can. If not, just stay where you are there with the hand down. One more breath. And then we're going to release and let ourselves come back to lunge. Step on forward to get your feet right under you. Again, you know, if you need to put your elbows above your knees to support yourself, do. Use your blocks if you want, or let yourself go ahead and fold into your forward bend where you're comfortable to be. And then from here, imagine your arms are like wings. You're going to bend your knees, let your arms come out beside you, and inhale them all the way out and up. And on the exhale, let the hands come right down together in front of your heart, finding your mountain pose. Lengthening up through the crown of your head. And the fun part is how mountain changes throughout class, right? Shake out a little bit. How it feels different, really, every time you come to it after you've done some poses. So we're going to do the other side. We're going to step the left foot back. So again, just make sure you have what you need handy there and line up your heels. Bend into that front knee. Feel free to keep your hand on the chair for a little balance. And then as you bend that right knee, look at it as you straighten it, right? So you bend and you straighten, and you're trying to keep the knee fairly lined up, right? So oftentimes, you know, structurally even, the knee will want to come in a little bit, or it'll kind of be going out. Just work on it a little bit. See if you can just try as much as you can to keep that knee lined up. And then go ahead and bend the knee. We're going to come on into warrior two, and we're going to float our arms on up and out from our shoulders and bringing our gaze out over the top of the right hand. Remember, you can be in warrior with your hands down. If your shoulders bother you, you don't have to use your arms at all. Feel the feet in the floor. Feel them pressing gently away from each other, engaged in your hips. And we'll put our left hand down onto our left hip. We're going to straighten the right knee out. And we're coming into that triangle pose. So again, your hand can go as low or as high as you want. You can use a block, and the block can be like in front of or behind your right foot down there. If you feel like you want to use a block and go that low, you can be up on your thigh with your hand or on your chair. And feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. Totally optional to lift this arm up. So feel that left arm up only if your shoulder allows you. Palm facing out. Thighs lifting upward. Good. We're going to bend the right knee. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two. Press the feet away from each other. That's what gets you right back into your core strength, back into your Warrior Two. And then we'll bring our hands down, and we're going to find lunge. So again, whatever height you want to be, your hands can be up on the back of the chair or the seat. And we are going to add a twist. So remember, once you get your lunge really comfortable, when the right hand comes up, you roll that right shoulder up. Think about putting your palm right down there on your sacrum. And you can stretch your arm up if you want to. You don't have to. So you can keep the hand down. And then we're going to release to come on back down with our hand. And we're going to step forward again and come into standing forward bend. And be mindful, again, if you like to release all the way forward, do. If you need support, remember, you can be up on the back of a chair like this. Okay, I'm beginning to think I'm losing my mind. Am I hearing things? Okay. And then we're going to come on back up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, I'm like, that's a phone ringing, I think. But then I'm like, no phone rings that long.
I was missing out on the ice cream man.
That's exactly what it sounded like. And I thought, is the door opened outside? Okay, so take your time. Kind of separate your feet a little bit. Watch out you don't hit anybody, but swing a little bit side to side here. Let your arms just wrap around you and let your shoulders release, and you're just really coming into easy little twists, and your foot can kind of follow you. Like when you go to the right, your left foot can kind of come off the floor a little bit as you let the arms just naturally wrap around you. It should feel really good. Good. And then shake it out, and we are going to come to Warrior One this time, and I'm going to have my chair again. You can have it turned this way. If you know you're pretty steady, you can turn the seat of the chair around if you want to face you. But we're going to step our right foot back, front-facing warrior. So if you have a chair in front of you, you can always slip your left foot all the way under the chair. Right foot is turned out maybe 20 or 30 degrees, so that when you come up here to your shoulders over your hips, that front knee is not bent out beyond your toes at all. And then maybe just bringing your hands to your heart is easy. Feel free always to use the chair if you need it. So if you lose balance, one thing that helps in Warrior One is to separate your feet a little the wide way so you have a stronger base of support. So if that helps you, you can do that. But see if you can do what we did at the beginning of class. See if you can inhale your hands up a little bit, and on the exhale, let them come back down. All right, so this moving with the breath, not so easy. So just let yourself feel the breath, moving the hands up and down. Core strength is what's keeping you standing there. Good. The next time you have the hands up, even just a little above your head, clasp your hands, send your pointer finger out, hug your elbows forward and inward a little bit. Now if you want, you can lift your gaze and your elbows up a little bit, keep your belly working there, and you can even straighten your arms out if you choose to, either with the arms forward or with your arms, your upper arms, by your ears. Not everybody's shoulders will do that. Just be where you can. One more breath. And then bring your hands on back down through the midline to be in front of your heart. And we're going to straighten our front knee out. So now, if you're in a short stance like me, your hip pointers are square to the front of your mat. If they're not, try to make them that way. And then come on forward. Now you can have the chair under your hands like this and let yourself come forward, staying up high. If you want to go lower, you can, right? You can kind of scoot your chair out and put your hands down to the seat of your chair. Or those of you without a chair can go to your blocks. Blocks can be any height you want. Your thighs are really working here. They're really engaging up towards your hips, and your back heel is down on the floor, so you're getting into the backs of both your legs at the same time here. So just enjoy finding that sense of opening up through the backs of the legs, but lengthen your spine. Now I know some of you, instead of keeping the back flat, really like to kind of bow over your front leg. If you like to do that, go for it, right? It intensifies the pose. So if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Good. And then we're going to come up. We're going to bend the front knee. We're going to rise back up. And then right from here, we're going to turn to the long edge of our mat. And you might want to grab your blocks. We're going to come on into a wide-legged forward bend. So if you get your hands grounded on your blocks or the floor, whatever you want to use, separate your feet at least as wide as your shoulders, and even a little wider if you can. And let your feet be fairly parallel. Bend both your knees. See if you can just lengthen through the spine. It's kind of like a squat. You're reaching back through your tailbone, and just enjoy coming into the legs, the hips. Good. And then, whether it's the blocks or the hands on the floor, walk a little to the right. You might just want to shift your blocks to the right. Just take your time. Let yourself, when you get there, give the legs time to adjust. And try to keep your legs equal. So if your knees are bent, have them both bent equally. But if your legs are straight, try to keep them both straight. And then we'll walk back through center, and we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So again, you can walk with your hands all the way to the foot or the outside of your ankle, or you can just walk your blocks a little bit over. Good. And then we'll come on back into center again. And now, be where you can, where you know you're comfortable. So if you know your back needs to stay long, you can stack blocks up so that you're either up on your hands, on your blocks, pretty high, or maybe it feels good to go down onto your forearms with your blocks stacked up. And I know some of you like to go ahead and just release all the way, hands towards between your feet, because that feels good to you. So be mindful. It's funny, these wide-legged forward bends can feel quite different than when your feet are closer together. Sometimes you can go further, right? So watch your breath, full deep breath. Just feel the movement through the ribs as you inhale and exhale. And imagine with each exhale that you just release more and more all through your face. You let go through your jaw as well. Sometimes if you just imagine relaxing your teeth, you find something even different. One more breath. And now when you're ready to rise up, how you come up is totally up to you. You might want to bring your feet a little together before you come up. You might not. It's up to you. Once you get up, if you're dizzy, if you have a chair there or a wall, hang on to it, right? It's easy to get dizzy. We are going to do the other side, so we are going to step our left foot back from warrior one. So it's called front-facing warrior for a reason. Your shoulders stay square. That's why a chair comes in really handy. You can put your right foot under the seat of your chair and put your hands on the back of the chair. And then once you look forward, there you are. You're aligned. You've got your shoulders over your hips. Back foot is in the floor. If you feel like you want to let go of the chair, you can, but you don't have to. You can stay holding on to the chair, and you're still getting benefit from this pose. So this time, let your arms come on down, and let's bring them out from our shoulders. If you need your chair, go ahead and keep your hands on your chair. Good, and then rotate your palms up and start to rise your arms forward. Clasp your hands together up here, maybe a little in front of you. And go ahead and send your pointer finger out and bend your elbows. Now, you can lift the elbows up a little higher or not. That's up to you. You may just want to stay right there. Keep your gaze forward. You may want to come up a little more, longer arms if you choose to do that. Remember, you don't want your shoulders to rise way up by your ears. So be where you can. One more breath. And then let your hands come right back down to be in front of your chest, in front of your heart. And now we're going to straighten that front leg out. So, you know, you can adjust too. If you are like your chair's a little too close, or you just want to readjust a little bit with the length of your stance, do. Squaring these hips, so when you come forward, your back is really long. And whether you just stay on the back of the chair and bend your elbows here, that's a lot in the back of your legs, right? Coming lower, totally optional. Down to the seat of the chair or down to your blocks, but don't push it. And enjoy, again, it's this sense of the thighs engaging upward towards your hips. So there's a lot of work in your legs going on here. That's going to keep you from overstretching. And of course, if you like to fold over that leg, you can. If it feels good to you to fold and kind of bow over, which rounds the back a little bit, it's not for everybody, then you can do that. And then we're going to come on back up and go ahead and bend your front knee and start to think about turning towards the long edge of your mat again. So separating your feet out. Actually, before you go forward, come up for a second and turn your toes out a little bit. So you're turning out from your hips, really. And then bend your knees and think about your knees coming right out over the center of your feet. And that's a goddess pose. If you can, kind of stay upright. Arms out beside you, bend your elbows to 90 degrees, let your palms face forward, spread your fingers really wide, coming into your goddess pose. And man, this is hips, and of course, if you are like, oh my gosh, my legs are screaming at me, you can straighten your legs up a little bit when you inhale, and when you exhale, you can bend your knees again, right? And man, oh man, it doesn't take much. It's actually a very, very hard pose for a lot of people. Finish off. If you can, bring your arms on down, come into straighter legs, and then again, we're going to try to get our toes more forward, more parallel with our feet. And of course, grab your blocks if you need as you come on into that wide-legged forward bend. Now this time, if you're okay to bend a knee at a time, do. You've got your hands on support. If it feels fine to bend one knee and then the other, do. And of course, if that bothers your knees, just don't do it. You know, just stay centered and let yourself come into the pose and stay there without that movement. And then when you do feel ready to come back into being centered, you decide again, what feels good in this pose? Do you need to keep your back long? Do you want to support yourself? Those blocks can be used for your head. They can be used for your forearms or your hands. You're more than welcome to walk your hands back towards between your feet or hold your own ankles. Some people really like to put their hands on the front of their ankles. Or some of you might even want to turn your fingertips to walk way back behind yourself in this pose. That's, again, an option that is not good for everybody's body. So be where you can. Be with your breath. Nice, full, deep, even breaths. Think about your inhales and exhales being equally important. Good. Well, one more breath. And we are going to, from here, start to rise up. So if you need to bring your feet together first, use your hands on your thighs to help you, grab whatever you need, and then bring your feet on together. Walk around a little bit, yeah? All right, so those of us who have a chair are going to stay on our mats. And everybody else, keep your mat where it is, but see if you can find an open spot on the wall just to be able to put a tip of your finger. You can even use a bookcase, right? You just want to have a little spot where you can put a hand. There you go. Yeah, thank you, Larry. Yeah. So in our chair, let's all turn to, whether we're at the wall or a chair, let's put our right hand on our chair or the wall, okay? And then you're going to stand on your right foot and bring your left foot up like you're stepping up a low step. So you're flexing your foot. If you can, you can think about balancing a little bit there. If you want to let go of your chair briefly or bring your hand up the wall, right? If you want to bring your right arm up the wall and let yourself try to balance there, you can. Not necessary. And now let the knee open out to the side a little bit. But when you do open to the side, make sure that you're not shifting back into that right hip and that you're not unsquaring your hips. Don't let the knee this left knee, if it goes too far, will send you off of coming into keeping your hips square. Okay, now bring the knee back to the front. And now bring the foot down behind you, knee faces down for a quad stretch. Now, that's a quad stretch even just standing here, right? If you want to reach back with your left hand and get a hold of your left foot, you can. That's up to you. And if you want to send your knee back a little bit and let your chest come forward, you can. And again, that is totally optional. If those of you who like to balance in this pose, you can be upright and you can let yourself balance, or you can be forward a little bit and let yourself balance. Or you can just stand here, let the quad stretch out a little bit. In other words, if you can't get the foot, don't force it. Good. And then we're going to release. We're going to come down. We're going to turn right around to the other side. And it'll feel actually pretty good to go right away to standing on your left foot and lift your right foot up like you're stepping up a step. Flex through the foot. Hold on for dear life if you need to. If you want to think about balancing, you can, right? If it feels good to let go of the chair or the wall, you can play a little bit with it. And then when you're ready, letting the knee open a little bit to the side. So again, you can practice a little bit of balance there if you want. You can keep your hand on the wall or the chair. Good. And then we'll bring the knee back into the front. And we're going to put the knee down and bend that knee as the foot comes up so the heel comes towards your buttocks a little bit. And that's a quad stretch right there. If you like to reach back and get hold of the top of your foot, you can. And if you press the foot into your hand, you might have an easier time thinking of balancing or even coming back with the knee and forward with your chest, right? So take your time. Just let yourself feel the legs working there, the strength, the stretch for your thigh. Nice. And then we're going to release. If you're at a chair, turn to face your chair so you can do this, a down dog with your hands on the back of the chair. If you're at the wall, do the same thing, only your hands are on the wall. Let yourself stretch into like a 90-degree angle at your hips. Yeah. And just release through the back there. Now, what you want is your feet right underneath your hips so that, and then you can bend your knees, that's fine. And your elbows are going to softly hug towards each other. And this is the wonderful down dog to do at your kitchen counter at home, like many times a day. So if you think about doing this in your kitchen, it's a great stretch. And one more breath here. And then we're going to slowly walk on back, and we're going to make our way back to our own mats and move your chairs just kind of off to the side. We're going to go down onto our bellies on the floor. So take your time, come on down and let yourself, if you can make a little pillow with your hands and rest your forehead on your hands, and bend your knees, bring your feet up. And let your feet circle around so you move through your ankles a little bit. And if it feels good to do those side-to-side windshield wiper blade moves with your lower legs, do those. If those don't feel good, don't do it. Good. And then kind of let your knees come towards the outside edges of your mat. So you're getting wider with your knees. And let your feet just come together back there. Right? They're just kind of coming just to hold each other up. You know what I mean? And you can, if you want, you can let the feet come down more towards the floor. If that feels like a good stretch for you in your hips. Now don't force it. I promise I won't come around and push your feet down, right? So let just the weight of the legs help you find a sense of release. And not only, I mean, your buttocks and your hips both. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. We're all built differently, so it doesn't matter how low the feet go. It's really how it feels in your hips. It's a Baddha Konasana. It's another a bound angle, another variation on whether you sit with the soles of the feet together or lie. So on your belly, it's a different story. We're going to come on back with our feet up, bring our knees on back in, and let yourself from here stretch your legs long and come on to your forearms on the floor. Let your palms for a second face each other. So you've got your pinky fingers down towards the ground, right? And just press gently now into your forearms. If this is too much on your back, stay lower. Let the elbows slide down more towards your waist. So you're still really in a back bend using your back body here, right? So take your time, enjoy wherever you're at, and then bring your hands together and clasp your hands, send your pinky finger out there on the floor, bend your knees and lift up to a half forearm plank. Now in this half plank, see if you can imagine you're trying to pull yourself. Actually pull like you're coming towards the front of your mat, and you're going to feel yourself go more onto that flesh above your knees, and you're going to feel your belly go insane. So and have fun with that. Feel your belly working and your hips, your low back, but especially your belly in this half plank, right? And then we're going to come down to roll to our left side with our knees forward, and we're up on our left forearm. So you're up with your elbow. Your left elbow is underneath your shoulder. If this hurts your shoulder, if you have shoulder things, don't do this. Do whatever you want. Come down, lay down, and go, okay, I'm done. Stay right there, right? If you want to practice a little of working a little in your shoulder, pretty safely, you can just make a loose fist with your left hand and send it towards the right front corner of your mat a little bit, and then press down just a little bit. That's working the shoulder. It's strengthening. If it hurts, don't do it. If you want to practice lifting your hips up a little bit, you can. And then come back down if you did that, and see if you can stretch your top right leg long. So you're just lengthening all the way. Try not to drop into this left side. Try to think length, right? And there's a side plank variation right there. You don't have to do anything else. Bend your knees if you want and rest. If you want to go a little more, stretch your left bottom leg out and put your right foot on the floor in front of you. And now if you lift your hips up there, that's a lot more work. So if you like to lift into a variation of a side plank, forearm plank, you can lift your hips up, stretch your right arm up. And if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing any of that, just stop, come on down, and release. And we are going to switch to the other side. So all you have to do is roll through your belly to your other side. And again, if this is too much, just lay here and enjoy. You know, being in a little soft fetal position is good for the back, releases the hips. If you want to do a little more shoulder work, you're up on that right forearm, your elbows under your shoulder. That loose fist comes, so you have a bit of an angle at this forearm. So instead of it being parallel to the front edge, make that little angle. Usually feels a little better. And you can stay right here. You know, this is enough. This is work right here. Lifting your hips up adds a little bit more if you think that's kind of fun. And if you're like, I don't want to do that, just come back down. If you want to stretch that left top leg out, you can. And then again, try not to sink. You're really pressing in. You're not sinking into your shoulder. And now that final one is stretching the bottom leg long with the left foot on top and then lifting up into your plank there. Forearm plank. I mean, if you like a full one, you can stretch your legs long and be in a full forearm plank with your feet stacked up, and you can go, oh my Lord, I don't want to do any more of this. And we're going to come down, we're going to come onto our belly, and now once you're there, make that little pillow with your hands again, and let your forehead rest. Breathe into your low back, and imagine even breathing like into your hips. Can you imagine just if you could bring your breath wherever you need it, It can help release a lot of tension and soreness, just the breath. Good. And now, let your arms reach into a wide V. So maybe like towards the front corners of your mat, maybe a little wider than that if you want. Let your forehead come down onto the floor. And then, see if you can, when you inhale, let your right arm and your left leg and your head come up a little bit. And then exhale it back down. So you're doing opposite arm and leg. Go to the other side. Opposite arm and leg and head lift up a little, not high. And then come back down. And go again to opposite arm and leg, other side. Doesn't matter if we're on the same side. And then come back down and do the other side again. Inhaling up a little bit. And then exhaling back down. And then bend your knees. Make that pillow if you want with your hands. Let the feet come a little side to side again. Let your back release. And then from here, we're going to shift back towards child's pose. Now, be really mindful of your own knees and your back. So if shifting back for you means to release like this to your forearms with your hips up in the air, do it. And that has to do with your knees, right? If your knees say, absolutely no way am I going all the way back with my hips, then don't do it. You can stay somewhat forward. You can always grab a blanket and roll it up and put it behind your knees. That can be kind of helpful too. That way you don't have to go as deeply, but you can maybe release that way. So be mindful. See if you can just breathe into your low back again. Good. And then let yourself walk over with your hands towards the right. Now you might be kind of on your forearms and kind of walk over a little bit, or you might walk your hands over. But wherever you go to, let yourself stay to that right side and breathe into your left ribs a little bit. And then come back to center. And again, as you go to the left, it may not be very far. You may be more up on your forearms, but see if you can breathe into that right side. Good. And then let's come back in to center. Be wherever your arms like to go. So, if some of you I know like to bring your arms back alongside your legs and turn your palms up. So if that feels good to you. And I know some of you like to turn your head to one side. So if it feels better to do that, stay there for a breath or two if your head's turned. But then just make sure you turn it the other way so you even yourself out if you've got your head turned to the side. And then we're going to slowly think of coming back up. So be mindful. We're going to bring our legs on around in front of us. So if you know sitting on the floor is really a much less than a fun thing for you, grab blankets. Sit up on blankets so that if your hips are higher, that often makes it a little more doable to sit with your legs stretched out in front of you. And something else that helps it make it more doable is to put something under your knees, whether it's blocks or a rolled blanket, right? If you kind of come to the edge of a blanket, or even sitting up like there it is on a block, if you kind of think about when you're going to come into a forward bend, that you're sending your hips, your sitting bones, back, coming forward from your low back. If you're tight in your hamstrings and your low back, this height can help a lot. And that way, if you think about coming forward into a forward bend, you can just release here and not have so much stress into the backs of your legs, right? Now, those of you who don't need that, it's fine. You can let your legs be long. You can come forward into your classic seated forward bend with a long back here. You may even want to get your toes. But if you can, feel your heels on the ground and draw them back towards you a little bit. And when you do that, you're going to feel your hamstrings activate, right? So that'll keep you from overdoing in the backs of your legs. Good. And then we're going to rise back up. And let's cross our left ankle either above or below our knee, right? If you can do that. If that's too much, you can always put it on the inside of your knee, leg. That's up to you. And then from here, we're gonna come forward a little bit. So let yourself just think of easing your way, again, just like you did with both legs long, into opening up in this figure 4 here. If you wanna put your right hand on your left foot, you can press the ball of your foot into your hand, which feels kind of good if you're able to access your foot that way. And you can even interlace your fingers between your toes if you want to. Just take your time, be mindful, let it feel really good in your hip and the back of that right long leg. And then we're gonna rise back up. We're gonna take a nice inhale. And as we exhale, we're gonna twist. Let your right hand come over, if you can, to that left knee. And if that's not doable, bring it on to like your shin, right? And that back arm releases, you know, it depends on you, how far back and where you want to look. If you like to look to the wall beside you, if you like to turn to look back to the wall behind you, just be mindful, let your neck be released, but maybe, you know, maybe it feels good to add a little bit of looking backward. One more breath here. Feel your sitting bones in the ground. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come all the way back around and through to the other side. So when you come to the other side, again, your hands go wherever. Let yourself lengthen up. One more inhale. And then let your exhale unwind you back into center this time. And we're just going to switch our legs out. So take your time. Again, if you don't want to cross over, foot can come to the inside of the leg. You can be lower. You can also put a block underneath your leg if your hips are bothering you. I should have said it on the other side, but you can support, especially if you start to come forward in this pose and your knee feels tweaky. Man, you know, pay attention. Do what you need to do. Or if your hip feels uncomfortable, just be really mindful. And as you ease your way forward, if you like to press the ball of the foot into your hand or interlace your fingers between your toes, do. Now be aware of that left long leg of the heel coming to the floor, drawing back towards you, and kind of press into the ball of your foot, right? Almost like you have on high-heeled shoes, right? And you're very active in your leg as you're coming forward. So one more breath. And then we're going to rise back up. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, as we twist to our right, your left hand, if possible again, can come around to that right knee. And again, where you look, don't force your neck. It might feel good just to look right to the wall beside you. It may feel like, I just feel like I want to look a little farther back. Keep the belly gently engaged. And one more inhale. And on the exhale, again, we're going to move all the way around to the other direction in that twist. So coming around and letting your, again, hands go where you like. You can hold on to that foot if you want. You can have your hand on your shin. Fingertips lightly touching the floor behind you if you're not up too high. Good. And one more breath here. And let your belly bring you back around into center again. And let's stretch our legs out and shake out a little bit. Some of you might want to use blocks for this, okay? You don't have to lift up at all. Bend your knees. Let yourself, you know, if you're like, oh my gosh, this is even worse, you can put your hands kind of behind you on blocks like this and just sit like this for a few minutes. You don't have to lift up. There is a pose called four-footed table where your hands can be on the floor. I'm saying blocks just because sometimes it's fun to change the height. And you lift your hips up and you come up into where you're like a four-footed table, right? Well, not everybody's shoulders want to do this at all. So don't bother. If it's too much, don't do it at all. Some of you might even want to turn your hands the other way. So for years, this is the only way I could lift up, was turning my hands with the fingertips backward. And it felt fine that way. And my shoulders eventually change to where it feels better like actually this way. So I just play, and don't do it if it doesn't feel good. It's intense in the shoulders and the wrists. It's the wrists that really get a lot of people. So when you're ready to come down, take care of your wrists. You know, you can either circle them, you can turn your hands over like that so that you don't push, but you just rest so that the hands are turned the other way. That's a good release for wrist too. Or this, wrapping your hands around your wrist one at a time and wiggling your fingers out. We're gonna come down onto our backs on the floor from there. So take your time, come on down. Once you get down there, just release your knees into your chest. Let them slide a little bit towards like the outside, like like your knees are coming towards your shoulders a little bit. And then send your feet up in the air for a little happy baby. And it doesn't matter how far apart your feet are. If you want to slide your thighs down more towards the outside of your ribs, you can. Some of you will want to put your hands on the back of your thighs, like around the outside of your legs, and kind of rest at the back of your thighs with your hands. Or some of you might want to reach up and get your feet. And you know, if moving in happy baby, rolling from side to side feels good, like actually real babies do, you're more than welcome to do that if it releases your back and your hips. Good. And then come on back in. Let your feet come onto the floor. Stretch your arms overhead for a second, but then let them relax. Right? So, I mean, your arms might be more wide in a V. You might have them more overhead. And then from there, just let your knees softly come from one side to the other. Now, you can go as low as you want towards the floor with your knees. You know, you might want to just barely let the knees go to one side and the other. Or you might want to separate your feet a little bit more and let the knees descend down towards the floor. Be mindful. Don't do it if it doesn't feel good. If your body is telling you to do something else, listen to your own body, right? How you feel after all we've just done is different for everyone. And if you have a pose or a movement that your body needs to do, if you need to come into a bridge pose, come into a bridge pose. If you need to come into another kind of a twist, or maybe you're like, I really don't want to come into anything else except Shavasana, our final relaxation pose. So give me time here to go around and get all the lights, and I'll start to gather things when people start to settle in for Shavasana. Remember, traditionally, Shavasana is lying on your back with your arms out beside you, palms facing up, legs a little bit apart, like your feet are coming towards the corners of your mat. But you know, not everybody is comfortable in Shavasana like that after a class or even any time, right? So that's the important part, is for you to be comfortable. So putting support underneath your knees. I have a bunch of bolsters. I have all these blankets I can roll up. Putting support underneath your knees can help. Also being aware of, when you lie back, where your chin is, whether you need to put a little support underneath the back of your head. And sometimes it takes just a little bit of support, sometimes bigger. So I will bring bolsters to people who think they want them, and if you feel like a little bit less underneath your knees, I have little bolsters. We also have all these blankets I can roll up. I'm gonna put them right here. So, don't give up on me. Moving around. I'll bring bolsters. I'll bring blankets if you need. If your knees are bent or your feet are in the air, that'll give me a hint that you'd like to have for your head. So if you feel the least bit uncomfortable, sometimes just moving your arms, your legs to a little bit different place can help. And if you get really uncomfortable, you know, it's fine to roll to your side, to do whatever helps you to be more comfortable. And just be with your breath now, just accepting your breaths as they come in and go out through your nose. As the breath quiets, calms down a little bit, your body really wants to follow your breath into that quieter place. And all you need to do is kind of give your mind the right idea. Just keep coming back to your breath. Keep refocusing back to your breath whenever your mind wanders off. Give yourself these few minutes, allowing your body to benefit in however it needs, just by letting yourself completely and fully relax. start to feel your awareness coming back to feeling the ground underneath you again. And the breath is naturally going to want to start to come in more deeply and fully. Just imagine sending those breaths all through your body, all the way out to the tips of your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready to move, if you can let your extremities lead you, just sometimes letting your fingers and toes wiggle and your hands and feet move a little bit makes it easier to come up into your arms and your legs. And move the way you need. If you need to stretch, let yourself stretch. If you need to bring your knees up and in, by all means, just take your time. And you know, you're welcome to roll to either your right or your left side into a soft fetal position. If that feels really good to you, you can use your arm as a pillow and stay there for a little bit to give your body time to adjust. Just so that when you do feel like rising up to sitting, it doesn't feel like too much of a big shock, right? Try to take your time to come up, get comfortable too in how you're sitting. Let your eyes close if they open when you're headed up to sitting. And whether you feel like stretching your legs out or crossing them or sitting on a block or a blanket, or just so you feel pretty good in your hips, feel like you can reach up through the top of your head, let your shoulders soften down. And then let your hands, if possible, turn the palms so they face up. So the backs of the hands rest somewhere where you feel really easy up into your shoulders. And come back to your breath, in and out through your nose. And on your next exhale, let your hands just gently come to meet right there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy whatever day it is, Thursday.
Oh.
So nice to wear a brown
So, I'll get some lights on in a second here.